hold the brake pedal down, push the gas pedal to the floor, and release. This video is sponsored by KGZ, the Z200 automotive circuit probe breaker finder. And if you work on wiring like this, like that, car behind me, you constantly have wiring problems, you gotta have a tool like that. So let's open this thing up and check it out. I'm gonna be honest, I've already opened this thing up before because I had to use it. That was basically the only way I could get the 1.0 to a 2.0 engine swap on that Ford Focus. That'll be later in this video. So I've actually already used it on the car behind me, which is a 2022 Mustang. But it comes in the box, and then there's a case. There's a nice plastic case that's labeled, so you will always know what it is. Packaged pretty cool. Bam, instructions. Like I said, I've already opened this. That's why it's not as neat as it was previously. But you got your main unit. You got your extension, which I haven't had to use because this wire is already super long. I think this wire is already like 15-20 feet long, and then you got another 15-20 feet. So if you're working around the car, you're able to reach anywhere on the car. Or like, for instance, I'm gonna use this on my trailer at some point to get my lights working correctly. But and then there's your battery cables, and then there's also this little adapter to plug in, and you can actually plug this into your 12-volt cigarette lighter inside the car, so you don't have to go to the battery if your battery is hard to reach. And then this here is actually the circuit breaker finder, which we're gonna see how that works in a little bit. So this little thing goes on there like that, and then there's a safety little rubber piece that you remove. Don't forget to remove that, but always make sure you read instructions. I've used one of these a long time ago. Don't really use it often because I don't like to mess with wiring as much as my friend does, but there's a lot in here that I didn't know, so make sure you read all the instructions. Otherwise you are gonna damage some PCMs, ECMs, BCMs, and TCMs, you name it, you can damage it. Because this tool right here, once you hook it up to a battery, you can actually give it ground power, whatever you need. But we're gonna try to go over a few things and see how it works. So in my case here, I have a battery next to me. That way we can do this on the table. And I've got two starters that I've had on the shelf for a while, and I'm not sure if they're any good. We're about to test them out real quick. So I've got this adapter for the battery connected to the harness. Positive, negative, it powers up automatically. And so what we're gonna do is, there's a negative and a positive here also, comes out from the tool. So we're gonna start with this starter here. Looks like it's been on the shelf for a while. It's labeled as a Fiesta, so 2011 through 2019 Fiesta is what I'm assuming. So we're just gonna ground it on the body, and then we're gonna not worry about the positive because we're actually gonna be giving it power through here. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, and see, once you touch that, it lights up green. That means you got a good connection. And then you push the arrow up and it gives it power. So the solenoid is working. Now let's see if the actual motor works. So once again, once you touch it, it lights up green, and then you hit up, and this motor is no good. So I'm assuming I kept this starter just for the solenoid, I guess. So I may just keep it for that. Put that aside for now. Here's another starter. I know this one I've always wanted to test because this one came out of a flooded car. Here in North Carolina, we got hit with a hurricane last year, Helene, and I bought a car And this actually came out of that flooded car, so I always wanted to see if this thing will actually work. I mean, it's been over a year and it's just been sitting on the shelf. The car's long gone, it's been scrapped, but let's see what this thing will do. Okay, lights up green. Nothing. Wow. I'm assuming it's shorted out inside because it actually turns the tool off. When you hit test, it turns the actual, like resets the tool and it lights up red. So I'm assuming this is no good, and as you can see, it's got still sand on it, so this is going in the trash. Here's another cool test we can do, is we can see if this light bulb is good. I mean, obviously on some bulbs like this one, you can see that it's good, but if you want to 110% know that it's good, put the ground on there, you hook this thing up right here, like that, it lit up green on the screen, bam! That light bulb is good. Man, that thing gets hot quick. So let's move on to the car. Unfortunately, the 1.0, 2.0 Ford Focus has moved on to the next owner. So we got this baby right here to play with. This thing had major wiring problems, and you'll see that in the next video or so. But it finally runs and drives thanks to these tools. Otherwise, I would not be able to trace the wires. I mean, I'm sure I would, but it would take me forever and a half to do that. This tool right here actually saved me a lot of time, and you will see why. So again, I have the positive and the negative connected to the battery, and just a simple thing is checking fuses right here. You put that on there and it actually shows you the volts. So it beeps if the fuse is good. You want to check both sides, and then it shows you the volts. This one is let's see, hard to do with one hand. So 12.2, battery's a little weak, and 12.2, so on and so forth. So all the fuses are good. But another cool feature with this tool is basically once you have that plugged in, there's this other device here, the circuit breaker finder. So hard to say, but here's how that works. So I already have it turned on, and what you do is you just trace the wires. For example, like I know this wiring harness is good because I've actually had it completely torn apart, and there was major damage right here in this harness, but everything checks out here. And then we're gonna go to the engine harness here. Everything checks out. But check this out. Let's unplug this connector here. So I have this connector disconnected here, and let's check it again going down here. This harness is actually in loom and wrapped with the special fabric tape, which is a little overkill because they don't do that at the factory, but I wanted to wrap it real nice. Personal problem, I guess. So just to show you, this connector right here is not connected anymore to the engine harness, and it checks out here. It's super quiet for some reason, but you can hear the buzzing. Now this is just an example. Obviously you would have to check each wire individually to find the break, but this tool will save you a lot of time and money. So make sure you get this kit ordered. I'll have the link in the description. So this tool actually has a lot more options than I actually showed in the video, but I showed you exactly what I used, the options that I used to get this car going, and the 1.0 into the 2.0 engine swap on a Ford Focus. So if this tool helps you, hit like, subscribe, and be sure to click the link in my description and get the tool ordered for yourself, because like I said, you're going to save time, money, and a lot of headache. So part 2 of this 1.0 to 2.0 engine swap ended a little bit weird, so here's going to be the part 3, and that is a complete car now. Everything is working. I did put different wheels on it, 18-inch from the race car that I bought earlier this year. It was a Ford Focus ST. But as you can see, the fog lights, the headlights, everything is working. The reason why the last part ended a little bit weird was because I could not get communication with the OEM stereo for a while, and then I couldn't get communication with the rear camera. And right now, with this aftermarket stereo, the stereo works and the backup camera works as well. And I was able to put the camera in the OEM location, so it pretty much looks original. As far as the engine goes, everything's super clean under here. I did have a small leak on the thermostat housing, which I've just replaced the whole housing with a new thermostat, and that fixed the leak. The coolant is at the maximum level, fresh oil, brand new battery. This thing is pretty good. And also, I was able to pass North Carolina safety and emissions inspection, and everything is legit in this car. All the VIN numbers match, the PCM, the BCM, and everything like that. So now it's a 2.0 liter automatic, and drives great. No codes. I've driven this thing probably about 300 miles so far, and it has 0 issues, which is great. This thing does run and drive really good, and a lot of people hate on this DPS6 transmission, but I love them because they're easy to fix. And why they go bad is because people don't drive the car, or they just let it sit there for like months or years and then try to drive it, and then things get stuck, batteries die, and it's just not good for any car. So as far as driving, this thing's great. I wish it was a manual, but I think if I ever do another 1.0 to a 2.0 swap, I will try to do a 6-speed manual along with the 2.0. But that being said, I feel like I did a lot of extra work on this build, and some people might actually comment and say that, hey, why did you have to pull the dash out? And going back and thinking about it, and that's why it took me so long to post the last video, was because I feel like I didn't have to remove the dash, and I didn't have to change the climate control to manual from like actual climate control, because I could have just changed all of that with either forescan or IDS, I believe. I just didn't spend enough time and did enough research and just went ahead and pulled the dash. But I feel like if I had to go back in time, I think I could have made the actual climate control work, and possibly I believe this car had heated seats, which no longer has them, because I went back and replaced the whole wiring harness and the actual heater assembly. So I feel like I did a lot of extra work, but this was a first time doing this on a car like this. So in the future, I think all I have to do is actually just replace the engine harness, engine, transmission, and also the fuse box main underhood harness. But as far as interior harnesses, I don't think I need to touch them. I can just change things in the computers to for example, climate control, or radio, backup camera, all of that. So I could go back and reverse everything, but it's just a lot of work, and everything works great. No issues, no codes. Just hit 107,000 miles on this. Engine and transmission has about the same mileage, so this thing is actually good to go. And the fact that it passed emissions in North Carolina, that's a huge plus, because when the time does come to sell this car, it'll be street legal and can be registered in any state with no issues. All the VIN numbers match, the car, the body control module, the PCM, every module has the correct VIN number of this actual car. So a lot of people don't know this about these cars, is they actually all come with launch control, and it's very easy to use. All you have to do is basically come to a complete stop. You hold the brake pedal down, push the gas pedal to the floor, and release. It's actually how these cars are meant to be driven, I believe, because those forks want to be cycled. They don't want to be stuck. They don't want to be sitting there. They want to be moved all the time. So if you drive this thing like a race car, the transmission will actually last you a longer than you think. The DPS6 is not bad. It's how people drive them.